I coach everything for my boys and girls, soccer, baseball. I just wanted to continue to be active with them, but I wanted to do it without all the aches and pains and bad knees and everything. So I kind of just sat down and said, hey, I'm going to join this program. I've got to do something. And they were all for it. And my little one, he would join me in the room, and he had little 1-pound dumbbells. And then my oldest boy really just making fun of me more like, hey, you going to make it, old man? Because I would crawl out of the room. But they were like my biggest supporters.
For us, it's not even having to make a whole separate meal. We're trying to be strategic on those 2 or 3 things that everybody's going to eat, and then maybe 1 or 2 extra sides. So, your chicken and rice, everybody can eat that part. Well, okay, what vegetables are the kids going to eat versus what we're going to eat? Let's pick and choose. And if we have to have a couple of vegetables at dinner to make it work for everybody, then that's what we do.
Welcome back to another episode of Fit Father Project Member Chats. Today we are going to focus on what it is like to have kids at home and a family life and be doing the Fit Father program and living out a healthy lifestyle. I am joined by 2 long-term members, Mike and Rusty, who both have families at home, and they found a way to integrate this program into their lives. I'm going to let Mike kick us off with giving his introduction.
Hi, everybody. Mike Chelovich. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I have 4 children. My oldest is 17, a senior, so we've been doing lots of college tours. I have a 14-year-old daughter, heavily into ballet, that both him and my daughter could both be going away next year for school. So then my 10-year-old and also my youngest boy my 10-year-old's a girl and my youngest boy is 7. So I have a very busy household and with my wife and 4 kids, and my mother-in-law that lives with us. So it is a busy home.
Yeah, you have a full spectrum of family there from all ages. Awesome. And Rusty?
All right, so my name is Rusty Boone. I'm married with 4 kids ranging from 13 to 4. I'm 39 years old. I live in Southeast Georgia. And we've got a lot going on in our house for sure. And my wife is also a fit mother, so that definitely helps.
You're a puppy, 39. I'm going to be 55 with a 7-year-old. So,
hey,
oh my goodness.
God bless you.
All right. Well, let's kind of jump in. Both of you started your Fit Father journey. And what was that like at home? What were some of those initial shifts that had to happen to be able to bring these habits in? We'll have Rusty this time. You want to kick it off?
Sure. So when I first started Fit Father Project a couple years ago, so I purchased the program for Father's Day and then did not really do anything with it until January of the next year. And I actually saw the Transformation Challenge and I was like, hey, Jessica, my wife, and I was like, I think I'm going to do this, but you have to do it with me. And so that immediately, she actually jumped on board, which was phenomenal for, us as a couple and, for the family. So now it's just, doing the workouts, food, and bringing the kids in piece by piece by piece. I don't know if y'all can hear it. 3 of my kids are yelling down the hallway. So, but for us, it was definitely starting with the nutrition. I had a lot of weight to lose. But then in that, we started doing new things and bringing the family in little by little. And we can expand on that as we go.
Yeah. And Mike, did you have a similar experience where your family joined in right away to your journey?
No, not necessarily joining in. So I kind of just sat down with everyone and said, hey, I'm starting this program. I've got to do something. I coach everything for my boys and girls, soccer, baseball. Coached basketball this year, even though I was a wrestler and know nothing about basketball. So I just wanted to continue to be active with them, but I wanted to do it without all the aches and pains and bad knees and everything. So I kind of just sat down and said, hey, I'm going to join this program. I've got to do something. And your kids never think you're fat. Like they just, oh, what do you mean, Dad? You look great. You're fine. It's like, it's something I have to do. And I was really with the idea that when I was going to turn 53, I wanted to get into good enough shape that I felt really good doing the activity. And they were all for it. So when I started doing the workouts at home, I had joined a gym, but I was almost really embarrassed, like trying to do an Apex at the gym. So I was doing it at home. And my little one was 5 at the time. He would join me in the room, and he had little 1 pound dumbbells. And as I'm dying, he's there lifting his little 1 pound dumbbells. And I remember him being involved every day with, what workout are you doing today? And then my oldest boy really just making fun of me more, like, hey, you going to make it, old man? Because I would crawl out of the room after doing Apex and Double Trouble. But they were like my biggest supporters. Like, they started noticing the weight coming off, and like, Dad, you're looking really good. My son sat across from dinner. He's like, Dad, you just look different in a month. Like, it's amazing, kind of your confidence, and you're just Dad. And it was awesome. My wife was super engaged with the idea that, what do we need me to cook? And always so supportive of making the meal for me, even though there might have been something made a little different for the kids. Like, it was, so she supported it. And then eventually she started doing the Apex and swears at me to this day about it, but still does it. So, yeah, they were super engaged with it. My like I said, and the girls loved it. My ballet dancer and the soccer player, the 14, 10-year-old, they were younger, would start doing planks with me and having contests. So it just became a big family thing. And they're all very, very active and all very, very fit, along with Cammie, my wife. So I had to catch up to all of them.
Well, it's interesting because you both mentioned when you made the decision, hey, I'm going to try this healthier lifestyle, I'm going to jump in, you both immediately told your family what your goal was. Do you think that that was part of your success then, with your family supporting you?
Absolutely, for me, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it was, I've yo-yoed in weight for 30 years, up 20, up 30, down 20, just back and forth. And I finally think making a declaration to them that I was going to do this for not only them, but also for me. I had to do something so I could be around for a long time, especially being a bit of an older father I was 53 with a 5-year-old. And I think it just gave me the idea that, hey, I have to stick with this. No matter what, I have to find some consistency. And the program worked for me, and it's worked for many people. And I think it's the consistency. But the family help was huge because they were tied into it. And I also didn't want to fail them. I didn't want to fail myself, but I didn't want to fail them when I said, hey, I'm going to do this and your guys aren't going to recognize me.
Yeah, I think that is one of those powerful situations, right? You have this mission statement that you make for yourself. And even if it's for your family, they may not know, right? But for both of you, you took it that next step of, I'm going to share with them like why I want to get better, right? And so they can be on board with you and they can support you. And I think that's a really important message for our members to hear. Like, tell those people in your family and those people you live with what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? What's the reason why? Now, both of you have 4 children who are all very active. So dinner time is chaotic. I am positive. You are all over the place. How do you integrate the meal plan with that type of chaos in the evenings and stay successful? They're laughing. For those of you who are just listening and didn't pick that up, both of them are actually sitting here laughing at this question. So this will be great. This means this is a topic we need to talk about.
It's really difficult because we don't eat a lot of dinners together. We have, the senior in high school who's working in baseball. I've got my dancer who's gone 6 days a week from 6:45 in the morning and doesn't get home till 7 o'clock at night and does her school basically in her ballet an hour away. You've got the 10-year-old running off to soccer practice. You've got your 7-year-old with basketball and soccer. And we're running in so many different directions. So I can't say it's always done together, but I would say a lot of it is because of just my wife creating meals, almost a couple different ones sometimes. Hey, I made this, but I also have this for you, Mike. Like, I know you've got your perfect plate stuff. There's always a big salad or some kind of vegetable that I can grab, even if it's something that, the kids are eating a little differently that night. I think it's just that buy-in with the family of, we try to eat, pretty consistently together, but it's never much time to do it. So even when we go out, I try to stay consistent with, having the healthy meal. Like last night, we knew we were going out to dinner. We got thrown a loop. The place was closed. So we went to a place that only served fried chicken. So, I had a crappy meal last night, but that's okay. Like, I was back in the gym today. So I think it was more just, we try to work it out. The Cami does a great job of planning stuff out so it's there. So whenever you eat, even though it's in shifts, like it's all made up of there's a salad or in fruit, and your protein, it's always there. And a lot of times, if it's just pasta for the kids that night, there's always some chicken or a fish or something for me, to have.
Yeah, and kind of same for us. Jessica does a fantastic job of, you know, planning our meals out very strategically. And, we've always got something sports going on, especially with our 13-year-old right now. We go from one sport to the next to the next. So there's always something going on. But, when we're doing our dinners and trying to formulate that perfect plate, especially for Jessica and myself, it's, how can we make sure we have a base protein in that everybody in the house is going to eat, and what carb is everybody going to eat. And then we switch up the vegetables. The kids don't like some of the vegetables that we're going to eat, so we don't make them eat a whole lot of it, but we do try to incorporate new things and get them to try stuff here and there. But again, like Mike said, it's a lot of it's just pre-planning a little bit and being strategic, because you've got life going on.
And I think it's really important that, knowing that dinners can be so chaotic, or we're running here, or we're running to this event, try to make my daytime stuff perfect.
Super consistent.
Yeah.
Super consistent.
My protein shake, and I've mixed some things up in the mornings a little bit. So, my lunch, I try to really make my meals during the day so good that even when you're a little off on dinner, it's not going to affect you as much.
Absolutely. 100% agree on that. My breakfast, lunch is always, I say always, 90% of the time it's my protein shake, do some sort of manwich or high protein something early afternoon. So at dinner, I can be that 90% and do a little extra, whatever, with the kids.
Yeah, control what you can control, right?
Yeah.
And right. Part of it that I'm hearing too is being okay with that. We're going to have some different meals at dinner. Yeah. Right. I have two kids too. I have one who will eat anything, and another who she would starve instead of eating what the family meal is. And there's a lot of guilt around that sometimes, right? So I think a lot of members come in with this idea of we all need to eat the same meal. And my family doesn't want to eat the perfect plate, so I can't do it. But what I'm hearing from the two of you, and what my experience has been at home as well, is part of what makes it successful is being okay with different meals. Like, we have different goals. Our kids are going to eat everything, and everyone's fed and everyone's happy, and that's fine. Just go.
Yeah, absolutely. And for us, it's not even having to make a whole separate meal. We're trying to be strategic on those 2 or 3 things that everybody's going to eat, and then maybe 1 or 2 extra sides, according to who's eating what. So it's not like we're doing half the family's getting PB&Js and the other half's eating these super healthy meals. We're really being more structured when we build that base set. So, your chicken and rice, everybody can eat that part. Well, okay, what vegetables are the kids going to eat versus what we're going to eat? Because they'll eat green beans faster than they're going to eat Brussels sprouts. So let's pick and choose. And if we have to have a couple of vegetables at dinner to make it work for everybody, then that's what we do.
Yeah. Well, my 10-year-old won't eat vegetables. She'll eat a lot of fruit, and that's okay. Like we just don't find, like, it'll come, it'll change, where the 7-year-old, he'll eat a salad, he'll eat most of the vegetables. And then we always know with the 10-year-old, there's going to be something a little different. But I think for like members, sometimes you think, because I got on this, I have to have everybody do it. And you just got to roll with it sometimes and realize your kids are going to be a little bit different. They'll find their own taste in what they like. Just don't let it throw you off in the sense of, hey, we can, I know it can be a pain. You got to cook something a little different, but, try to stay consistent with what you're doing and realize there are going to be nights that you just have not the best meal, but keep it in proportion in what you can do, and, realize it's okay.
Yeah. And something else for us, I was going to throw in that, we've learned, even with our lunches and breakfasts, we've discovered our kids love smoothies. Mm-hmm. So make them a much fruitier smoothie and things like that. So that's also helped. They're getting a little bit more nutrition than they would have otherwise gotten, because they have discovered that they do like some of the stuff that we like, or that we're doing. So just let them try it, and you never know what you're gonna run into on that. And I've got one like Cat does, that he will go to bed hungry in 2 seconds flat and doesn't care. I mean, yep, sorry, I'm not eating that. So it happens, and you know what? I just look at it at this point. He's intermittent fasting a little bit, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's true, right? He's picking up another habit that maybe
That's right. He's done found a habit I wish I'd have learned, 30, 40 years ago.
So speaking of like maybe your family is going to have different meals, or they might have different types of snacks around at the house than you because they didn't pick this journey, right? How did the two of you handle that? How do you stay motivated, or more so, how do you say disciplined, to not reach into that kind of family pantry of snacks or other foods that are at the house?
Um, I still will have a little bit once in a while. Like I will, if I want one pretzel or two, I'll have it. I just won't have 20 pretzels. Like so, I think I'm at a different point now where I'm much more controlled about what I can do during the day, and I'll have a little piece of chocolate with the kids or a piece of cake, but not. I just won't do it every night, and I won't do it day after day after day. But I think when I was really in the focused of the weight loss, and then I went into the muscle building and gained, and then got hurt, but back into just very maintaining where I am. It's keeping things that I like that are healthy, snacks. So, snacking on vegetables. I love apples. So, I know everyone says, oh, you can't have carbs in the fruit. It's a piece of fruit. I can have an apple and be okay with it. Celery and broccoli and cauliflower. And I'll grab a handful of that to have snacks at work. So I'm not grabbing the big peanut M&Ms, which I love those too, but, just not every day. So I think having some alternatives, some of the good, Quest bars, if you're, or even a good piece of dark chocolate, you're craving a little bit sweet, have that. I know we say don't do the fake sugar, but Jell-O gets me through sometimes. The 0-calorie Jell-O with a little whipped cream is one of my snacks I have every night, and it gives me what I want. So I think I found some really good alternatives to not have, the cheese balls that sit around, because my 7-year-old loves them. And but my kids, I have to give them credit. They're very good, like fruit eaters and health eaters. And my oldest boy now with lifting is piling on the protein. And the 14-year-old has to pack her lunch at 6 a.m. to leave at 6:30 that we take her to ballet. And she's got great stuff in there. So I think there's always really good stuff. And there's also some things. And it's just picking those good things that you keep that you like. And I think finding some snacks that, cut that craving that you keep around for you.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So for us, we suddenly found a new love for various nuts and things like that. So we keep a lot of almonds and cashews and pistachios, especially pistachios. My wife loves pistachios, and so keep the snacks that do well with what you're eating in the house, and then you've got the kids' snacks. And I know for me, that first 6-8 months, I just made that concrete decision in my brain. This is what I'm going to do. This is my structure, and I'm not going to break it. Even right now, I'm in a little challenge, and I'm not deviating from that plan at all. So for me, it was making that strategic decision in the beginning, and then I've definitely had my moments in 2 years where it's like Mike said, I can be a little bit more lax. I've hit my original goal weight, and I'm staying successful and doing that 80 to 90% perfect right now, but I can go have a piece of chocolate, or we could go to the ice cream shop, or we can go to the pizza place, or whatever it may be. But definitely when you're in that knuckling down period, or as a lifestyle change, set your boundaries and then just adhere to those boundaries. And it is easier said than done, but at the end of the day, it's a choice. For me, when I walk in the pantry, I'm going to get a snack. I need to go to my snack bin and get the things that are going to be good and healthy and grow my goals. And when I'm fixing the kids' snacks, just make that conscious decision. I'm not going to pull 30 cheese balls when I'm giving them their cheese balls.
It's funny you said that, Russ, because my Valentine's presents were a tin of mixed nuts and Quest chips. Like that's what So where the kids all got their Snickers and their gummy bears and and we laugh about it, but it's what works.
Hey, my wife left me because they were already gone to this tournament, she left me a thing of dried
Oh
chickpeas,
yeah.
snack, salted chickpeas, and the Quest, or no, the oh gosh, what is it? It's the really good dark chocolate that everybody likes. Anyway, it's got some peanut butter in them, So
Yeah.
basically healthy Reese's.
Yeah.
Um,
Just don't eat 30 of them.
that's right. One of them is a whopping like 15, 20 calories or something.
Yeah.
It's nothing at the end of the day. There's zero sugar in it. And so being strategic again.
Yeah.
How have you handled the fact of like that you already didn't have very much time, right? As a parent with 4 children who have activities, you really didn't have that much time to begin with. And now you're adding in this new healthy lifestyle that requires meal prep and workouts. How did you handle shifting your schedule when you were starting your journey?
For me, I'm a very early person anyway, but I get up and so I wake up at 4:45 or 5 o'clock pretty much naturally. Rusty, as you get older, like me, you're going to see it shifts. So I'm up by 5 with no alarm, but I also do stuff like I take the dogs out, make my oldest boy, his breakfast so it's ready for him when I get him up so he'll leave for high school. My daughter comes down, we have to leave by 6:30 to get her to ballet in the morning. And then I've just decided that right after I drop her off, whether I have to drop her off 15 minutes away or if I have to drop her off an hour away, which it does vary depending on who's driving that day, I then take the next hour for me. Like it still gets thrown off. Like there are times when I have meetings and can't get to it, but I would say, 4 or 5 days a week, that 6:45 to 8 o'clock time or that 7:30 to 8:30 time is non-negotiable unless there's a work meeting I just can't switch. So I had to switch to that. Instead of getting up and just having my coffee and doing the kid stuff but then going right to work, I decided that if I didn't do this, I wasn't going to make it to work because I wasn't going to live. So for me, it was finding I had to make that time for me, and the mornings worked well for me because I noticed if I didn't do the mornings, I would not work out at night. I got home, I was tired, I had to run to sports, I had to coach, and by 8:30, 9 o'clock, I just wasn't going to do the workout. So I think that really helped. And then incorporating my oldest son, into workouts in the summertime worked out really well because of working out together. And then joining the gym for me, getting out of the house and having a community of people around me really helped spur me on. Kind of people when I was hurt and couldn't work out for like 4 or 5 months, checking in on me. Are you okay? You got to get back. When are you going to be back? So I think it was all of that combined, but I think carving out, even if it's 30 minutes or start with 15 if you have to, you got to find that time, whether it's morning, middle of the day, or at night to get your movement started. So for me, it was still getting all the kid stuff done I need to do in the morning. And I have to say, because my wife does all the night stuff, I go to sleep earlier, she stays up later, and we work really well together on that. Except I do have to clean up the throw up. That's my job. But she so she handles the late night stuff, and I handle the early morning. And I just decided I used to be that guy, get their stuff done, get them to school, go to work. And then I just decided that I need that half hour to an hour. So
Yeah, for me, I made myself in the beginning, I would get up early and do some early morning walking. But then I'd say after the first couple weeks, I was really trying to hit the apex and things really hard at the beginning of the program. So I live really close, or I work really close to my house. So I figured out on my lunch breaks, I could run to the house and get a solid 30 to 40-minute workout in, jump in the shower and get right back to the office all within an hour time frame. So for me, I said, you know what? I'm just going to knock out as hard as I can in that 30 to 40 minutes every day. And so when I first began, Apex, anybody that hasn't done that yet, you'll learn. And Apex when you first start doing Apex it's going to take you 40 to 50 minutes or longer pretty easily. And for me, I couldn't do that. I didn't have the time. So when I first started Apex, I would go as high as I could and then go down in whatever it took, whatever I could get done in 30 to 40 minutes. And I had days where sometimes I would do 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and back down just to fit it in the time frame until I got really good at it. So I was strategic in a lot of the workouts, but I made that hour lunch break every day was my time. And either in the mornings or the afternoons I'd add a walk in, and that's just how I found the time for me, because that was the only time of day I really had. My work days vary from, sometimes it's an 8-hour day and sometimes it's a 14-hour day. But lunch break, I can almost guarantee at some point in the day I'm going to make myself a lunch break. So that's how I found my workout time. As far as meal prepping and everything, God bless my wife. She just does most of it, period. She'll prep everything, and then I come home and do a lot of cooking because I like to cook. So, but she kept everything kind of in a steady flow of all of that as well. So I could come home, and we would do meal prepping from the standpoint of cooking a lot of protein for several days in a row or whatever. So if we prepped a whole lot of chicken breast, I'd throw it all on the grill, and then there we go. We've got chicken breast for 3 or 4 days. So she would do most of the prepping, I would do the cooking, but then we just have it in the refrigerator ready to go. So we work together on a lot of that stuff on the food side. But working out definitely was just, here's my lunch break. This is the time I have, and I'm gonna do the best I can. And it worked. It worked well.
Yeah, and my meal prep's not. I don't really. I think I told this to Dr. A when we did our initial meeting. I don't really meal prep. I eat almost the same thing every day for breakfast and lunch, whether it's my protein shake. And my lunches usually I have pulled chicken. I throw avocado, lettuce, and have an apple on my wrap. And I keep a little electric skillet in my office. I warm it up in that. And the other thing I did is, like, when I miss workouts, I bought a really low cost walking treadmill, not the big expensive $2,000 ones. And I put it in my office because those mornings that I have to go into the city or I have early meetings, at least I get some kind of walk in. And I'm not like a lot of you guys that love to be out in the cold weather. So when it's cold here in Pittsburgh, I don't want to walk outside. I don't want to go throw 40 layers on. I just get a walk in on the walking treadmill, and it's movement. It's keeping the legs going. So my meal prep is really simple. I buy a big pack of chicken. I eat it during the week. I keep the non-fat yogurt in there for some high protein stuff to throw into my shakes. And I pretty much eat the same thing every day, dinners are always different because of the kids. They really are. I think the ease, if you can make your life easy, and like Rusty was saying, you fit your workouts in. I think we're all told this, 80% of this though is get your nutrition dialed in. And it's hard with all your kids. So if you can be really consistent when you're away from them during the day or whatever it is, then you'll figure out your dinners. And if you can get everybody to buy in with you, and I know some guys have struggled with that, of getting their wife behind it or their spouse, or, you still have to try to figure out how you can make it work for you.
Yeah, basically what I'm hearing is nail everything during the day, get your workout in before the crazy evenings happen. Right? Whether that's the morning, whether that's a lunch break, whether that's just getting 2 15-minute walks at your workday, right? Make sure your meal plan is solid when you're not with your family and kids. And then at night, you do the best you can. And you make the best choices that are available. But you're a parent, and that's the phase of life you're in. And man, when you guys put it like that, sounds so easy. It sounds like such an easy plan. Like, now it's just the execution of it. Do you think that your kids are starting to pick up? I know you guys have mentioned, right? Like Mike, you said your youngest son, and then like your older son too, and your daughter, your ballet dancer, of course, has always been active. But do you think your family as a whole has started to make a shift towards the healthier lifestyle now that you're making these big decisions to make this change?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would say Cammie's always really healthy. Cammie's always eaten very healthy. I could eat a loaf of bread. She'll eat a piece of bread and be like, okay, that's fine. And that was probably why I was always bigger and she wasn't. I would say, my 17-year-old now, who started lifting with me in the summer of the first year on FFP, was pretty consistent for the summer. Then school and baseball started. And then when he got out of baseball again, started lifting again. Now he lives in the gym. Like he hardly misses a day. He's on his own push pull legs day, and not so great on legs, but he's getting there. but we were just doing his college visits, and he really talked about the eating, not just eating the pizza and the fries. It's so easy in college, and he could see like we ate in the cafeterias. He said, so I can see why people get really heavy. I want to keep lifting. I want to keep working out. So I think he's just gotten the bug, and he also has seen what it's done for me. So it's been very consistent. The 14-year-old has always just been driven, like with her ballet. Like she dances so much. I've never seen a young girl work so hard, and the amount of activity they have to do, and she eats really well. And the other kids they're 10 and 7, so they're active, they're busy, they see it, they understand the importance of eating well. And I think Finn, my littlest one, still sees me going to the gym, and he asks, "What did you do?" And he knows all the names of the workouts. And even like I went to the lifting program, my own version of OSM, but then I'm back doing a lot of the Apex and double trebles, and I just mix it up. And he'll ask me, "What did you do today? Did you do Monroe? Did you do double treble?" And yeah, so he's really always into asking about what I'm doing. So I think for them, it's especially my oldest, because he saw it the most, and the 14-year-old, they picked up on it, and that's where he wants to be, he said, going forward. So I'm going to scoot for a second and grab my water. Okay.
Rusty, what change have you seen in your family? Because your whole family is really doing this together because your wife's on Fit Mother. So what shifts have you seen?
So, we're seeing things like my oldest daughter is heavily into sports. And so she's 50-50 on whether she wants to eat well or not. She's definitely the I can eat ramen noodles every day kind of kid. But she's also seeing the older she gets, hey, I need to fuel a little better, especially for her basketball games and volleyball games. But my 11-year-old has really taken up the first year I was doing FFP, or I started FFP, I signed up for a local 5K that we have, and I ran a 5K, and as soon as I signed up, he's like, "Hey, can I do it with you?" And I'm like, "Sure." So, I mean, he's 9 years old, and he's out there running a 5K with me. And now I've signed up for 3 additional ones since then, and every one of them, he's right there running with me. So, he frequently asks, "When are we running another 5K?" So his mindset is shifted. My 8-year-old now, he looks at it and says, "Yeah, running's too much work. I might go for a walk with you, but that's about it." But then he'll go out and play in the gym and play with our weights, because we've got a little home gym. But of course, nothing structured at 7, 8 years old. But it's still keeping them in the mind frame. They're seeing Jessica and I work out, every day, and so even when they're not coming along with it, they're seeing us do it, which is changing. I think it's going to change their mindset, or form their mindset, I should say. I know it has in my 13-year-old. She's made it out to the gym a few times, and it's like, "Hey, what are you doing out there?" And she's like, "Well, I just wanted to go get a 30-minute workout in." And I'm like, "Why? Who are you trying to impress?" And she's like, "No, I just really want to do it. I'm doing basketball and volleyball's coming up, and I just want to work out and try to be a little healthier." So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, they're seeing what we're doing. They're catching little pieces of it, and over time, hopefully it'll become part of their long-term lifestyle. Like Mike said, his son working out, I hope by the time mine get to that 17, 18 years old, they're all in the same mindset.
Wait, I had to buy him a manscaper so he could shave his chest. And he's flexing all around. He's sending me pictures of triceps. And before, when we were lifting together, I used to be able to kick his butt, like with the amount of dumbbell weight and everything. Now I can't keep up with him. That testosterone, in the 17-year-old, so it's fun to watch, though. I'm so glad to see it. It really led me to what my mission was to lead my kids in a healthy lifestyle and be their example. And that really was part of my mission. Was I wanted my kids to have a good example, which I didn't feel I was being. And it's done it for sure. And I think it's great to see that. I know they're going to follow a path, and they'll have their ups and downs, just like everything. And we have all, they have injuries and stuff, but they're doing it. So I love it.
Yeah, they're getting to see that it's important to you too.
Yeah.
I think as we grow up, we learn by watching our parents, or at least a lot of us do, or watching the parental figure, right? What is important to them? What were they doing? And that kind of starts to shape who you are. And your children are getting to grow up in a home where health and fitness is important. And you, like Mike, cutting out time for yourself in the morning is important, right? That self-care. These go hand in hand. And what a priceless lesson to give to your children. Like that is almost more important than any other piece of it, right? When we really look at like what imprint can I leave on my kids? Oh, they saw that I did something that was good for my health, and that was important for me to leave my family. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
and I know with Quinn, like it's such a testament to where this program has taken us. So 6 months ago, I really injured. It wasn't even from working out. I just have stenosis, and I woke up one day and really couldn't walk. I could hardly get down the steps, and ended up with multiple shots in my back and talking about surgery. So I really went 4 months without any activity. I was getting really down because I was gone I went from every single day. Like I didn't miss a day, and I loved it. I was lifting, and Quinn just said, "Hey, Dad, you're doing great. Like you can't do anything, but stick with the food, and you know you can't be perfect." He said, "But you'll be back because you did it. You know what you have to do. As soon as you're healthy again, you'll do it." And it's now I've been back since for 2 months straight, not missing anything. He said, "I told you." And he was even at the gym that I go to, and everybody would ask, "Hey, where's your dad?" He's like, "Hey, he's hurt, but don't worry, he'll be here. It's his lifestyle. It's what he is now." So yeah, and I think for us, it's a mindset of how good it is for us and how good it makes you feel. And understand injuries are going to be part of this, especially as you get older. Like we're going to have knees and shoulders and backs, and I think if you can, whatever you can find that you can do, or if you can't, just try to stay some consistency and realize you're going to take a little step back, but you have all the foundations to take that step forward again. So, and that's where having your child tell you that and be such a rock for you, saying, "Hey, you got this. I know you can do it." So,
I mean, I was tearing up. Like, the whole time you're telling this story, I'm just sitting there thinking, like, how incredible is that? Like, your child knows this is so important to my dad. I know he will get back after it. He has no question of your commitment. Like,
yeah.
that's
They want to know when I'm going on a retreat again. They want to get rid of me, I think.
Hey, I want to know when you're going on a retreat too. Anyone listening, come join us on a retreat.
Yeah.
Rusty has been on a retreat, can talk about that too. That's a great way of showing, like, both of you have 4 children at home, busy families, and you mentioned that self-care is important, and both of you went that extra step of coming to a retreat and saying, I am so committed to this. I need to go and take my own time at the retreat. What was it like after the retreat going back home? Were you able to take things from the retreat back into your family life?
Well, they made me go on the retreat. I wasn't going to go. My
Even
my
better.
wife and my
Even
wife
better.
and kids, like, so I sat down and said, "Hey, look at the cool thing they're doing," and they've been such huge supporters, and they said, "You got to go." I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to spend the money." They're like, "What do you mean? You put this is why you did this. This is a great chance for you to get away and celebrate the success you're having, but also get with other people." And I think that so they made me, and what I got back out of it is when I came home is just their enthusiasm to see what we did, what we talked about, the things that we learned, but also the connection that we've made. We're still in contact with so many of the guys that I did the retreat with, and I think it just gave you a commonality of the sense that you have a community of guys that are going to support you no matter what, whether you have the ups, downs, there's always people there. And I think for them, it was a matter of, hey, when's your next trip? When are you going to go on it? And unfortunately for the Belize trip in July, which I love to do, I have a big international conference that I'm putting on. So can't go to that, but I'm looking at the next retreat because they're all for it. Because I think I came back so happy about it too, just how neat it was. And yeah, if you haven't done one and you have the ability, do one. It's a great connection with the team of Fit Father and also just all the guys that are in it and women that are in it.
Agreed wholeheartedly. I mean, when I went on the retreat, awesome bond with all the guys that were out there. Got to meet Kat in person and Anthony and Craig and Ben. It was a phenomenal thing. And when I came home, exactly, I had all the excitement to go with it. Had started, did cold plunging while we were out there. Came home and built a cold plunge and got the kids have gotten in the cold plunge a few times. My wife uses the plunge every day now. So, I mean, that was something I brought home that's also enhancing our health over time. getting the kids involved in things like that. So they saw something that I did. And like my wife made me go. I swear her and Kat must have had this, backdoor conversation going on coercion here, but it worked. I got out there. I had a blast. It was great me time. Again, this whole journey for me is I've had to learn me. I've had to learn to become my own hero in this journey, to take that to my kids, because I want them to be able to see and structure those things going forward. Because if I can show them, they're more apt to do, because we can tell our kids all day long and they're not going to listen. They're going to do what they see. I know that's how I grew up. I didn't do everything that my parents said to do. I had to see them do it or see someone else do it and then emulate that going forward. So I hope that the changes that we're making in our lives now, that Jessica and I are, that our kids are going to see it. And then as they get older, they're going to want to do those things and then raise their kids in that healthy lifestyle of, hey, I've got to find the balance for me. I've got to find the balance for my wife or my spouse. And then I've got to find the balance for my kids, because without that balance, you'll be back in the same place we were before Fit Father Project, at least for me. And I don't want to go back to that being 80 pounds heavier than this. It's been a game changer for me. I yo-yoed for so many years. Now I've been super consistent for 2 years, and that's never been in my repertoire per se.
You are both very involved fathers, like super involved and been with your family. So I know that you were a wonderful father prior to your Fit Father journey. Do you feel that there has been any change, though, in how you parent or your involvement with your kids now that you've taken this time to focus on yourself and pour back into your own health journey?
You want to go, Rusty? And
Sure. I mean, for me, absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier in the call, I pick on that 5K a lot just because, or doing the 5Ks with my son a lot. My daughter likes to go with us and do them too, but Josh was done more with me. But that's such a mindset shift for me and my kids on something that we'd have never done. And so being able to do things like that, or when we go to the park and take a run in the park, or we've got this event coming up here in a few weeks that we go and do, it's called the Walk for Life event. And, we walked it before, but it wasn't the same as it is now. Cause now it's like, we're out there, you're passing people, you're not kind of at the back cause you're out of breath. You're the energized one getting out there and really putting the oomph in it. And so now, especially for me, because my wife's always been, she's always eaten a little healthier than I have, and she's definitely worked out more than me. But now that I'm in it, as a family, we all have that endurance to do things and the desire to do things instead of just being couch potatoes or whatever. We want to go do things. So yeah, for us, it's definitely changed our dynamics.
Yeah, I think, we were so active with all their sports and coaching everything that I don't see a big shift, other than I can do it a lot easier than I was doing. I can get up from the nailing position in baseball, or I can get out and field the balls with the kids. I do have a really bad knee and need a replacement. So there are some things that are tough, but so it just made it easier for me to do a lot of the activities. I think where it's grown the most for me, though, is a peacefulness, because I'm happy with who I am. I wasn't happy with who I was, and it would translate into some just not, some lack of patience at home, drinking, having a couple drinks a night to just kind of go to sleep. I mean, now I still go to sleep early just because I wake up so early, but it's not because I'm having a couple drinks to have to do it. And there's, I think, being very happy with who I am now and really just comfortable in my skin. But when you're walking around with an extra 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds, you're just not comfortable in your skin. It affects your demeanor. It affects your mindfulness of what you're doing. So your shortness with your kids. And, now I find it not much bothers me. I think I'm taking that energy out into the workouts, And because I can be so active with them and we can go out and take a walk, we did a Thanksgiving 5K, which I don't really run. So we walked and I ran a little bit, but we went on and did it. I wouldn't have done that before. I've been like, no way, you guys go and, I'll watch the parade. But it's a peacefulness of comfort in who you are. And I think that's led to a very easiness of the kids, which that's what I love about it. I can't, that's one of the best things that's ever come to the program. So.
It's beautiful. Well, before we wrap up, I would love for both of you to share if there is a father right now listening who maybe hasn't started their health journey because they feel like, my life is already busy. I already have too much on my plate, that I'm kind of just stuck. This is where I have to be right now. What advice would you give them while they're listening to help get them started? We'll kick it off with Rusty.
Take a step back and say, am I who I want to be? And am I portraying the person that I want my child to grow up to be? I know part of my journey has been a decision to do some hard things, and that decision matrix for me comes down to it's hard to walk in the pantry and say, I'm going to eat a healthy snack when I've got cheese puffs right there, and I would much rather have the cheese puffs. But it's a decision that I had to make for me to make changes in my life and my lifestyle to show my children a better way. So the only advice I can really give you is take a look at yourself, decide whether you really want to make a change. And if you do, take small steps. It doesn't have to be this major overnight thing. And if you think it's going to be an overnight thing, again, reevaluate, because it's not an overnight thing. And you're never there. That's one of the things I'm learning on my journey is you've never, quote unquote, arrived. This is a lifelong journey. So make strategic, sustainable changes in your lifestyle that you can show other people, i.e. your children, your wife, to move forward in life. Or is this going to take me to new goals? Is this going to take me to new levels of my life or not?
It's great. Yeah, that's awesome, Rusty. It's those small choices and those small changes. I think the biggest advice, and having the young one, I'm looking at how much time I might have left, and we never know. It could be a day, but if we all live, whether it's to our mid 70s or 80s, and it's not a lot of time, and I want to have that time with my kids. And my mission was I wanted to be around for them to enjoy their life and give them a big thing. So when we use time as an excuse all the time, I don't have the time for this. Well, they're our children. And if you don't have the time now to get yourself into a frame of mind or a place where you can spend that little extra time with them or that little extra for yourself, you might not be around for a long time to see them graduate, to see their wedding. And, that to me is some of the most important thing. And that's really what drove it. So I think finding the first 10 or 15 minutes, making the 80% shift into your nutrition, to give you the time that you want to have with your kids as they're growing up. And, whether you're a younger dad, older dad, the more you can do. And that's the best advice I can give is we don't have a ton of time. So take advantage of it now. And I'm living such a better life 2.5 years now than I was then. And it's the best move I've ever made. And I can't imagine, with the ups and downs, it still takes you right back to being consistent. And I want that time with my children and my wife. So find that time, because you don't have a lot of it left.
Yeah. And one other thing I'd like to throw out there is, we're talking about our children now, but in 10, 20 years, what about your grandchildren? Are you going to be physically able to, and I think that's one of the things that's really been a driver for me now, because if I don't get healthy now, it's going to be that much harder in 20 years when I've got grandchildren. And then I'm really not going to be able to do stuff. And I want to be that guy that's out there doing stuff with my not only my kids, but my grandkids. And that's a huge, hopefully a very long time away for me. But it is something that I've got to think about at some point, because if I'm not going to be healthy today and I'm not going to make good decisions today, then I'm not going to make good decisions in 20 years or 30 years. And then I want to be around for my grandkids. And, you know, I've already, let's see, I have one grandparent left, you know, and I'm young. And I want my kids to have their grandparents, healthy grandparents that want to, you know, do stuff with them. So, you know,
I just want to make it to graduation of my youngest one.
You've got this, man. You've got it. Don't even play.
The joke on the baseball field is I'll be coaching my youngest out with a walker by the time he's here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, depending on where you started, right?
Right.
What part in your life.
And I think have fun with it too. Like, you're going to have that up and down. Like, have some fun with this. Like, find the things you like. I think what's hard sometimes is the program is really structured, and some people are afraid to deviate to find what works for them. And I think I deviated a lot in finding the foods that worked for me. And I didn't eat the manwich every day. I found a version that worked for me.
Absolutely.
I think the workout versions, I had to do adaptations because of a shoulder surgery, then a hand surgery, and the back. But find things that work for you that you like, and that's going to help you keep going. And that's also, if you're getting your kids involved to some fun things, you know, that's some good advice I think I can give you.
Hey, absolutely. I'm going to throw that out there too, because I hate the Apex. I just don't like the MRTs. I will do them. I do them. And I want to say at this point in my journey, I do them well. I don't like them, but I know what they can do for me. I would much rather just sling around, you know, get me in the Monroe, the weightlifting side, and I like it a whole lot better. Not that I'm good at it. I just like it better. I would much rather walk than run. I'm making myself run, not a lot, because I'm not good at it. You know, I talk about running these 5Ks. I do a lot more walking than running on them, but it's okay. My time still gets a little better here and there, and I'm doing it with my kids, which makes it that much better. So, you know, this is small steps. The Fit Father plan is laid out in a way where you can make it your own. It's building a structure. It's using those guidelines to move forward.
Yeah, that's perfect. Just use the guidelines. Think about that future, right? Think about farther out. What if you're still where you're at today in 10, 20 years? What is that going to look like? Speaking of a daughter of a father, right? I watched my dad be fit, and he, like, for girls, you're your child's first best friend. That was my first, like you mentioned, Rusty, being your own hero. Like, my hero was built in. I was born with this dad who was active, and I was watching and learning from him and hearing you guys share what you are doing at home. Like, I know for a fact your children are watching their heroes. Your boys are watching their best friend, their superhero, and they're learning from you. And they are going to be blessed by that now because of these decisions you are making. So thank you. Because you're putting good people into the world. That's how you put good children out there. For all the listeners, if you have any questions, if you'd like to send questions to Mike or Rusty, you can just email them in to support@fitfatherproject.com, and we'll make sure they are directed to them so that you can connect with them and ask them how they're doing and get their support. You can also find them on the Fit Father Project app. So join us there in the Brotherhood and connect with all sorts of fathers who are there on their journey, who want to support you along the way. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Rusty. And we'll see you on the Brotherhood.
Thank you, Kat.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Fit Father Project podcast. If you love what you heard, please rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts. It really helps spread this show to more men who need this valuable info. To watch full video episodes of this podcast and other motivational videos to inspire your training and more, visit our Fit Father Project YouTube channel. It's free, and everything's made for busy guys over 40 like you. Visit youtube.com/Fit Father Project to get access to our entire video library. And finally, If you or someone in your life is interested in becoming a fit father or needs help losing weight, building muscle, and living healthier after age 40, then visit fitfatherproject.com, where you can see our proven programs, supplement line for guys 40 plus, and free meal plan and workouts to get you started. This is Dr. Anthony Balduzzi signing off. I'll see you in the next episode.